there's two concepts that are really important. One is called splitting, the other is called ambivalence. And ambivalence in psychology is actually ambivalent. It doesn't mean, usually when you're ambivalent, it means you're wishy-washy in colloquial terms. But here in psychology, it means ambivalent. It means two contradictory emotions at the same time. It's the ability to say, I have strengths and weaknesses, you have strengths and weaknesses. There's things I like about this, there's things I don't like about this. And it's an emotional state. If you can't tolerate ambivalence, then you split. You frame yourself and other people in all or nothing terms. I only have strengths or I only have weaknesses. People who are depressed split a lot. They see themselves as all bad. And if you talk to somebody who's depressed, sometimes they're so negative about themselves, about the future, about everything. And you try to say, hey, is there any bright spot? Is there any strength? That they can't tolerate that. It's easier for that person in the short term to be depressed than to tolerate ambivalence in the short term.
Interesting.
So the cure for depression isn't be happy all the time. The cure is ambivalence. And that
well, just help me understand before we go on. So what do you mean by easier for them? Like emotionally easier? Easier is like the way they navigate
it's
the
distressing
reality?
to think about the reality of having strengths and weaknesses. There's an anxiety, a kind of distress that can come with that is in the short term unpleasant, but it's actually medicine. It's actually medicine. And when you can tolerate that issues and people and groups have positive and negative trends and dynamics and strengths and weaknesses, that's true of me, that's true of everybody else. When you can tolerate that, it's really distressing at first, but it's medicine, and it gets you to maturity. If you can't tolerate that, you end up being immature, emotionally dysregulated. You're framing everything in all or nothing terms, so your picture of reality is really distorted, and you end up self-sabotaging and doing things that hurt yourself and hurt others, and you don't understand a lot of what's happening. So the capacity to tolerate ambivalence is so key for individuals and for society. And I really think we're losing that capacity. So it's going to be hard for them to say, hey, what might a cost of illegal immigration might be? What might a cost of regulating gun ownership might be? Whatever the issue is, think about pros and cons. They can't tolerate it.
Yeah, when you said that, I kept thinking about maturity. That's just how mature people behave. That's the orientation that a mature person has toward the world. It's also, just parenthetically, the best villains in movies and shows. I love science fiction. They're always, they're never really like these just super evil monsters. They're always they have some nuance to them. They have some ambivalence. But that's what it's called to be emotionally mature. So I find that absolutely fascinating.
So look at these kids. Look at kids. Like if you want to have a controversial conversation about Heather McDonald's views on race or whatever it might be, and a lot of maybe less so, but recently, but not that long ago, you would see kids at college campuses, and they'd be in tears. They're shaking. They're violent. They can't control their body. They really can't tolerate the idea of ambiguity, pros and cons, thinking with nuance. It's an emotional capacity that they don't have, and I think that overrides the reason. They can rationalize anything. There's always a reason to rationalize why that shouldn't be said, or that's immoral, or that's not true. They'll rationalize after based on what they can tolerate feeling.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This falls under the umbrella of my nonprofit, National Progress Alliance. Your generous donations keep us going and help fuel content like this. We truly appreciate your support. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.